Who cares how it happened? I know it was ugly, but Victory Sunday starts now. Whee!
MGM Northfield Park presents The Rizzo Show. And now your host, Tony Rizzo.
Yeah! Did we win? Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Rizzo Show. Boy, the Browns. Tony Grossi's joining us. Tony, the most unbelievable. Why does it feel like we lost? Really? Tony.
Well, it's been so long since they won. You get used to them doing things that cause losses. And finally, at the end,
yes,
they did the things that produced the win.
Finally, and we will give them that. And Tony, you know what? On the schedule later this year, when you see a win over Buffalo, we're not going to remember how ugly it was.
That was called grinding it out.
That's right.
That's
the Browns win after Buffalo missed a field goal, though, Tone. And don't tell me you weren't nervous till the very end. If we had to go to overtime, we were in trouble. But the Browns really shot themselves in the foot in this game. And, Tony, it started very early. I could argue this game should have started 17-0 for the Browns. Here's the field goal miss. Tone, Phil Dawson will tell you there's not an easy kick in that stadium.
Well, this guy missed a much shorter field goal to the dog pound end zone, and that's also the side of the field where Austin Seibert missed the first PAT. You know, whenever you miss a PAT to start a game,
right,
it's bad.
Right.
And that kind of hung over the whole day, but eventually this guy tried 2 field goals into that end and missed them both, and that was the margin of win for the Browns.
Tony, how badly did this team and this city need this win?
Yeah, I think they're celebrating. I mean, not over-celebrating, but there's so much relief in that locker room after the game that you could feel it. At this stage of the season, Riz, any way you could, you know, if they would have produced a couple of these uglier wins earlier,
sure,
they wouldn't be in this situation. But every game is critical, crucial, and they survived.
Well, it shouldn't have been that close, Tony. The Browns have had trouble in the red zone, but the clinic they put on today in futility was unbelievable. Tony, can you explain this? Any of it?
No, they had 10
plays.
Goal to go. Missed on 10 in a row. There were also 2 pass interference calls in the end zone, which they didn't take advantage of. Finally, on their 11th goal to go, first and goal from the 7, is when Rashard Higgins won the game.
Tony, it's never happened. You said the Elias Sports Bureau, you looked this up, and it hasn't happened in 20 years?
26 years, I think it didn't happen. They looked so unconfident on every play. And it turned out that a false start was the best thing that could happen to them. Their second possession inside the red zone, it was because of that false start that Freddie decided to kick the field goal instead of trying a pass again on 4th down.
Tony, I don't feel good. There were a lot of mistakes. There was questionable. There's always a couple head scratchers from the sideline, and there were a lot of penalties again today. I mean, even though they won this game, are they really getting better?
Well, no turnovers again for the second week in a row. And a game-winning drive by Baker Mayfield against a winning team. This was a team with a winning record. And we saw for the first time how dynamic this tandem of Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt can be the rest of the way.
Yeah, let's take a look. How do you think they were used? I thought it was great. And, Tony, I got to say this. I actually liked Kareem Hunt blocking for Nick Chubb on a couple of these plays. He laid a couple of nice licks in there.
He was so amped up. To be back, to be on his home field for the first time in a Browns uniform, and he and Chubb look like they feed off of each other. I think this is the way to go the rest of the year. Focus on those 2 guys. They threw to Hunt 7 or 8 times. He made a big play with a catch on the winning drive. The only problem was they didn't use them together at the goal line.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll be the next step. Use them together near the goal line.
Did you like how they were used on the field together? That was the key, right?
I think we'll see more of that.
I'll give the Browns a lot of credit for doing that. I thought it worked really well. And I got to give Kareem a lot of credit. You know, he hasn't played in a year. And Tony kind of picked up where he left off.
Riz, we've been looking for the identity of this team all year long. These 2 guys can be the identity going forward. And they could make a run for it now, and it starts Thursday night.
Ground and pound, ground and pound. What did you make of Freddie running the ball at the goal line stubbornly? And then, well, we're going to get to this. He told you after the game that he would do it again.
Yeah, he pretty much advertised to the Steelers and everyone else he will run inside the 5-yard line. Problem is they don't have any lead blockers.
Yeah.
They don't have a fullback. They don't have a tight end.
Doris, John, I love you to death, man. You got to give me a tight end. a big one like Gronk they can catch, and you got to get a fullback. You got to. I don't know what you guys are trying to do without a fullback. Maybe that's Freddie's offense, but to me, it sure looks like it could use a blocking back. You mentioned the Browns' identity. We all thought it was going to be Odell Beckham. Tony, they came out this week, surprisingly, and announced to the league that they're going to force feed the ball to Odell. He was targeted a lot today. What did you make of that and OBJ himself?
Targeted 12 times. I think he caught 5 of them. Very first play, he got him in one-on-one and threw deep for him and just overthrew him. That would have been a long touchdown if the ball would have been just a few yards shorter. Yeah, that was obvious. They were forced. It wasn't so much forcing the ball. They just couldn't connect to him, and they had those 2 interferences in the end zone around the goal line. But at the end of the day, the hero was the forgotten receiver, Rashard Higgins.
Tony, is it just a matter of chemistry with Baker and Odell? Because they don't look like they're on the same page at all. And Odell, for some reason, is dropping passes. That's not him.
Yeah. I just think he has never gotten used to the velocity of Baker's passes.
Wow.
Yeah, Eli Manning was an old man by the time he left New York, and those balls weren't coming in like they do now.
All right, big question everybody wants to know. Did Freddie Kitchens save his job today, Tom?
At least through Friday. Thursday. Now, I think, this was so needed, this win. It gives him a positive frame of mind now to practice and prepare for the Steelers. It's still in front of Freddie. I mean, the Pittsburgh game starts the next wave of division games. It's still there. Baltimore won. I think Pittsburgh won, but they're still in it.
Okay, they're in it for how long? Tony, in other words, and this is what everybody wants to know. What if Freddie goes, the Browns are what, 3-6 right now?
Yeah.
All right, what if Freddie goes 6-10? Does he keep his job?
I wouldn't think so. I mean, that's going backwards from last year with a stocked roster of playmakers. I think he's got to at least be better than last year, which would be 8-8 at the minimum. They still think in that building they have a chance to make a run at the division.
Good, they do. I mean, mathematically, they can still do it. After the game, you asked Freddie about his struggles on the goal line.
But I thought those guys did a good job of overcoming that. If we get down there again, I'm running it again. So I'm going to tell them that tomorrow. They know that. Odell did a good job of getting 2 penalties. It gave us 4 more downs down there, and we weren't able to do it. I need to call better plays when we get down there, but I'm telling you right now, we're running the ball when we get down there.
Why is he so adamant? He seems stubborn. You can't, any good leader, you can't be stubborn. It can't be your way or the highway. Is there a little insecurity involved?
I guess he's very defiant and defensive, and wants to be assertive. But again, those goal line plays, they just look unconfident. There are a couple toss plays that Chubb. When did they toss to him? Just hand off. Again, though, I think they're strapped because they don't have a legitimate blocking package for short yarders. They got to get Hunt in there with Chubb and play off of that near the goal line.
All right, it's time for our Merriman Legal Play of the Day. Make Tom teams your team. Merriman Legal, come on, you know it. Tone, where's he been? Hollywood time, Tony. Play of the day. Hey, give Baker Mayfield credit. Tony finally led a fourth-quarter drive and won a football game. He threw 2 touchdowns, was not intercepted, and Hollywood Higgins come up big on that play.
He sure did. It was the only pass thrown to him the whole game. He was on the field just a few plays, and that's his security blanket. Maybe he gets back into it now and helps the cause again with the Chubb and Hunt tandem together. They still got a lot of players on that offense, Riz. Maybe they can figure it out.
I was ready to call Merriman Legal about 5 times during the game today, right? I wanted some sort of answers on that. All right, Tony, we've got the Steelers in 4 days. I absolutely hate that, but at least the Steelers played the late game this afternoon, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're the ones who have to bus here. I think they do that. This is the most critical game of the year right now. And it could send them, keep the season relevant, or it could be the end. If they lose that game, I think it's over.
We will see. When we come back, we're going to have some fun, kids. We're going to spin the wheel after the break. Browns win. Browns win. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. Now, you know the rules of the wheel. Tony and I have no idea what's coming up here, and we're going to just react to it as it comes up from all over the sports world and beyond. So here we go. Time to spin the wheel, kids. Let's go. Roll it, Johnny. Yeah. Tone, what'd you think of 1 versus 2? LSU, Joe Burrow, who now becomes the hot guy for the draft next year.
No doubt. Probably clinched the Heisman, clinched the #1 spot in the draft, perhaps. Boy, there were so many scouts at this game. There's so many future NFL draft picks in this game.
They said between 20 to 25 players drafted in April on the field for these two teams.
This game was over 4 hours, I think. It could have went 5 hours. No one would have complained if it would have kept going.
Yeah, it was great. I thought Alabama hung in there with them, too, because LSU was clearly the better team. And Tony Ed Orgeron got the big win. The Tigers coach, who always sounds like he's choking on a beer can. You got to love that guy. Next! Chase Young. Tony, it appears that he took a loan from a family friend. God forbid a kid should take a loan from a family friend. Thanks, NCAA, for nothing. How long do you think he's going to be out, and do you think he might just sit out the rest of the year and go to the draft?
Well, I don't know about that, but he might want the national title ring and come back for that. But I've seen anywhere from 1 game to 4 games. It's going to be announced soon. But if it's 1 game or 2 games, they won't miss him. We saw that.
Well, they played Maryland last year. They play Rutgers, obviously the worst team in Division I this coming weekend. But they're going to need him, Tone, for Penn State.
In the end, yeah.
And they're going to need him for Michigan, I think. But, boy, the Buckeyes showed off without him, I thought, Saturday. They had a lot of kids on that defense making plays. They're so deep. They're so good. All right, here we go. Are we all football? What are we doing? Oh, Cavs. How about my young Cavs, Tony? Nice win Friday night on the road. They look exciting. They're young. John Beilein doing a nice job.
You can already see these young guys developing. It's so early in the season, and they do look like they're already getting better. So Beilein looks like he knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, and I think they have a nice foundation. I would rather see them make the playoffs this year and get a little valuable experience that way than get back into the draft lottery, although, you know, this is Cleveland, and everybody loves a draft lottery in Cleveland. All right, roll it again. Here we go. Tony, no! Tony, will we be going to London for road games? The NFL, they talked about moving the Chargers there this week.
Yeah, and the Chargers vehemently denied it. They're staying in L.A. in the new stadium going up there. But, you know, the NFL just contributed. The owners helped pitch in to build a new stadium in London. So they still have long-term plans there, possibly to host a game. You know, if they go host a team, if they go to the 17-game schedule, which they're talking about,
oh boy,
everyone might have like, you know, a neutral site game
London
on their schedule,
and
that could fill up a 16-week schedule.
Tone, why do they want to be in London? With 10 seconds, why?
I don't know. There's money there. There's a lot of money in London.
That's the answer to everything, isn't it?
Right.
There's money there. All right, one more. Here we go. There's money there. Reverse eating. Tony, they're grossing people out with reverse eating, Cam, at the Milwaukee Bucks games. So they're showing people eating in reverse fashion, and the food's coming out of their mouth. And I can't watch this.
Why is this? Why is this happening?
I don't know why they're doing it. You know what? The owner of our company, Craig Karmazin, is part owner of the Bucks. Ask him. What the hell's going on out here?
This is going on the video screen?
This is on the video screen. This replaced Kiss Cam.
Oh, my gosh. Never have I wanted Kiss Cam more.
Reversal of fortune. I think, if I'm not mistaken, only one time for Riz on the Road have we had a reversal of fortune, and it was with an oyster, if I remember correctly. All right, we are opening up the vault for Riz on the Road. It's an all-timer, and of course, it's Italian with Tony and I. Stay tuned. We are going into the vault to show you a great Riz on the Road. Do you remember the fabulous Cafe Roma? A lot of great Italian restaurants in Cleveland, as we know, but if you want authentic Italian food right from Italy, you got to come here. Lorraine Road and West 130th. It's called Cafe Roma, and I love it. Folks, this is an authentic Italian kitchen. Joe and Carla cook everything from scratch. Joe, how long have you guys had the restaurant?
Oh, it's going on 10 years. And
It's a labor of love.
that's what it is, especially for her. She's in love with this place. I can't get out of here.
Carla, where did you get the recipes for all this? From Italy, from home?
From my mom, from my mother-in-law. You know, I lived with her 3 years when I came back from Italy, and she's Italian, and she cooked for 7 kids in the family.
Sure.
So she was the best cook.
That's what I absolutely love about Cafe Roma. All right, it's not like you're coming to a restaurant. It's like you're coming to somebody's house. Here's the true taste right here.
Be careful.
Oh, that is. Oh, homemade bread and homemade sauce. That's amore. You know I love everything on the menu, but I think today for the show, can you make me a little chicken cutlet?
Sure.
Do we have gavadel?
Yes, we do.
Gotta throw some meatballs in there, and maybe an Italian pizza.
Perfect.
Is that good? Folks,
Anything.
the pizza here, they make it both ways. They make it like the American, like the Americans, or they'll make you the Italian with no cheese. Gotta see it to believe it. Now, let's eat.
This is lasagna. Everybody says those are too big, the pieces. But they don't complain because they take home the rest. They loved it. They love this lasagna. Look.
Folks, if I don't say stop, Carla will just keep cooking for us, all right? These are my favorites right here. Chicken cutlets. The breadcrumb mix is to die for. Oh. 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 A lot of people in Cleveland don't understand authentic Italian pizza. It doesn't have any cheese on it. Carla makes this herself. Oh, that's like Nana used to make right there. I think one of the house specialties here at Cafe Roma is the homemade gavadels and meatballs. The sauce is homemade, pasta's homemade, and those meatballs are not from any vendor. They are made right here on premises. So if you want real, authentic, homemade Italian food, you gotta get here to Cafe Roma. Our chef, Carla, thank you, darling.
Oh,
excellent. Appreciate it very much. One more thing, make sure you bring your appetite because you are gonna mange. Bon appetit, everybody. I cannot believe you have not been to Cafe Roma. First of all, it's 130th and Lorraine. You get off on 130th, you run right into Lorraine, it's right there in front of you. Tony, you'd absolutely love it. I mean, it's like going to somebody's house. Still one of our favorite Riz on the Roads. John, our director, says 2012 we did that Riz on the Road. How many Riz on the Roads have we done? 400? 500 maybe? All right, when we come back, we'll wrap it up. Victory Sunday, kids. Party up. Let's go. What's wrong with you, Browns fan? We won. Stay with us. Oh, the party is going to continue when we're done because our good friends Big Chuck and Lil John are coming up next. By the way, it's Lil John, not Little John. Get that straight. All right, Tone, here we go. We're 3-6. Somehow we won a game today that I still don't know how we won, but we did. Do you think the Browns have a run in them, Tony? They could maybe lose 1 or 2 more games. Do you think that's possible?
Yeah, we know the schedule was set up for that. It's just, do they have it in them to stop making mistakes? Now, much like last week, it wasn't turnovers or penalties. They only had about a half dozen penalties, whereas second game in a row. But they still make those mistakes, it seems, stemming from the sideline, you know? And they have to show a little humility when they make plays instead of taunting, instead of getting in opponents' faces until the game's over. I think the dynamic of Hunt and Chubb can be the identity of this team as they expand on it.
You like that. Listen,
I really do.
That's the one thing you really love about today.
Those two guys
is you
have
feel like those
passion
two, right,
and energy, and they are two humble guys. And I think the team should take the example from those two and just concentrate on business instead of celebrating and taunting.
Do you feel like Freddie Kitchens' tone is improving? I don't. And that's the one thing. I would love the Browns to make a run here. But, Tony, I could argue they're probably the most poorly coached team in the league right now. I know Freddie's a rookie and he's learning on a job, but is he learning?
That remains to be seen, Riz. That remains to be seen.
You answered that question.
Come on.
Without answering that question, you answered that question for me. Yeah. Cross my fingers, maybe.
Sam Matigliano has an expression. Have you ever seen a horse carry the jockey over the finish line? That might be what has to be done here. They have to carry the coach to the finish line.
The talent may come through. Boy, the Browns were so much more talented than the Bills. and
Yeah.
it showed today. Tony, thanks for being here. Always a pleasure.
My pleasure.
What a pleasure to do Victory Sunday, Victory Monday tomorrow morning on the radio. I'll talk to you all then. Good to be alive. Good night, everybody.